Along with fonts, colors are popular ways to change the look and feel of your application. Working with colors in Windows Phone 8 isn't as straightforward as you might expect, but the color options make it possible to adjust dynamically to user preferences and themes. In this video, we'll create a background behind our large text block components and paint them with color in a few ways. First, using colors of your choice, and then we can tap into the theme colors selected by the user and paint using the color to maintain consistency with the user's personalization. As with previous videos in this chapter, if you're coming to this right after the previous video, you can work with the project that is currently open. If not, just open up the Start project for this lesson from your downloaded exercise files. So let's start with the bad news. Text blocks do not have the ability to have background colors. You can change the foreground color, but you can't change the background. To create a background color, you need to create a container component and give it a color value. Then place the text block component within it to get the same result. Let's stick with what we know and work with the stack panel component. The stack panel component supports the background attribute, which we can set to a specific color. Let's get started and add one. For this, we need to add the stack panel after the tip header. I just click the tip amount field in the design view, and that takes me right to the line of code in code view. To create our stack panel, we need to create it after this line of text on line 61. So let's create a new line here and then create a new stack panel. I'm going to give it a unique name, and we'll call it tip panel. And then we will close the tag. With the basic code here, we can now move the tip amount text block and place it within the tip panel stack panel. So I'm going to take this line of code that we have here on line 65. I'm going to cut, go over here, and then paste. Now we want to change the background color. So we can do this first with the properties panel. So I'm going to select tip panel and then open up our properties panel. To access the colors, just open up the brush section. And if you look, by default, a stack panel has no background, or in XAML terms, no color brush used to paint the background of the object. We can adjust this by selecting the solid color option in the panel. Now you can adjust any of the values here, including red, green, blue, and alpha values. Or you can work with the color selectors here to pick whatever color you want visually. When you select a color, you'll see that the background attribute was added to the stack panel. The value for this is in 32-bit color space, constituting a red, green, blue, and alpha color. This is shown in hexadecimal numbers, very similar to working with CSS and websites. In C#, there are a number of named color values as well that you can use English names to select. You can enter those into the code view with the background attribute. For example, we can change this color to orange. I'll just remove the hexadecimal value that we have here, and I can type in the phrase orange. You'll see that the code hinting will automatically give you the named values of all the colors that you can select. We can use things like dark violet, deep pink, and all of these named values are linked to specific colors. So between the properties panel and the code panel, you can change the color using the color picker, through hexadecimal values, or using static names that are predefined in Windows Phone. But let's think a little bit about what makes Windows Phone unique. One of the big tenets of the platform is the personalization you can give your phone. Your start screen is personalized by your tile arrangement, size, position, but also through a theme color that you can select. This theme is the user's way of making the phone their own. It makes it personal for them. When building apps for Windows Phone, you want to make sure your app is an extension of that personalization. Lucky for you, the theme color that a user selects is a style or static resource that you can use to customize the colors in your app. Let's walk through how to use them. With the object selected, we want to switch the color picker in the properties panel from editor to color resources. With that, you'll see that the color picker is removed, and now you have a list of colors to choose from. But these aren't just colors. They are dynamic styles that are linked to user and system preferences. The theme color that the user can customize using the phone settings is listed at the top, Phone Accent Color. Let's go ahead and select that. You'll see that the code panel has updated, and the color is now red. Let's step through the code and see what happened. First, you'll see that a new set of tags has been created. While you can use attributes within tags to define values, you can also create child tags using dot notation in the tag name to set child attributes as well. In this case, the stack panel name now has a new child tag called stack panel background. Within these tags are the values of the color we selected. Colors that are used to change backgrounds, borders, or foregrounds are called brushes. In this case, we are working with a solid color brush. The color of this brush is set to the system resources Phone Accent Color. Now you might ask yourself, big whoop, it's red. What's the big deal? Well, let's change a couple of things and preview this in other situations. On the far left, open the Device Flyout menu. If you remember from our original orientation, this panel allows you to customize the preferences for the Design View panel. In this case, we can change the theme color of the phone. Let's go ahead and change it to lime. You'll see that the color now has changed, but we didn't have to change a single line of code in our project. Let's go ahead and repeat this again with the second text block that we need to build. I'm going to go ahead and select total amount to jump to that area of code. And then let's go ahead and create our stack panel that we'll use to hold our background color. X name to give it a unique name. And in this case, we'll call it total panel. We have our automatically created closing tag. And then I'm going to go back down to our text block. I'm going to right click and cut, go in between our stack panel opening and closing tags and paste. And now I've got the text block within our stack panel. So let's go ahead back into stack panel, and now we can start adding in our color again. This time, instead of using the properties panel, I'm going to go ahead and do this entirely in code. So with our stack panel selected, I'm going to create a new line here, and we're going to create a stack panel.background tag. Inside of this, I'm going to create a solid color brush tag and select the color to be a static resource, which is called phone accent color. So we did the exact same thing we did in the properties panel, but now we did it entirely in code. Again, just to recap, if you take a look, the stack panel.background tag we have here is the same thing we had earlier with the background attribute. It's just been broken out as a separate XML node. So again, what we did is we added some color to our app. Because text blocks don't support a background attribute, we got around that by placing them within a layout container and then changed their background attribute. To work with a specific color, you can enter it in a few ways. First, you can use the color picker in the properties panel. You can enter in an RGBA value in hexadecimal in code, or you can use one of the dozens of stored color names. But another workflow for working with color is to tap into the user personalization by using the phone accent color static resource. When you do this, if the user changes their theme accent color, your app will automatically update to the new color and help it integrate with the overall phone experience for your user.